Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. So today is day 12 of Vlogmas. So hard to believe that we are almost to Christmas time. We're getting pretty close. So right now, this time of year, I know a lot of people are getting ready for their finals, and it can be such a stressful time and such an easy way to get off track and to start eating unhealthy, to stop exercising, and then that kind of spirals into, well, it's the holiday season, well, it's New Year's, I'll get back track on January 1st. And let's face it, if we have that mindset, we usually never do get back on track. So I thought I would share with you guys some of my tips and tricks on how I stay in the best shape possible during this time of year. So I'm currently not taking any finals right now since I am on a break from school, but during my bachelor's degree and my master's, there is plenty of semesters, and even in my doctorate work, there's been plenty of times where it gets really stressful at the end of the semester or quarter at college or university, and it is so easy to get off track. So I'm going to share with you guys 6 tips of mine to keep yourself as healthy as possible. That way you will perform to the best of your ability, at least from the health and wellness mindset side. Of course, it's on you to actually do the studying and to do the work, but these are some tips that I think can be really helpful on this time of year when stress level can be really high. So keep in mind, I am not a doctor yet, but I can't. The advice that I am giving you guys, or the tips, these are just things that I do for myself. These are just things that work well for me. So I'm not telling you to do these things, but if you choose to, I hope that they do help. So let's get started. All right, tip number 1. One really important thing is to stay hydrated. It sounds really simple, but during this time of year, I find that we drink a lot more coffee, especially if we're worried about finals or we're having a late night study session at the library or whatever. It's so much easier to just drink coffee and pretty much nothing else. But then you get dehydrated and you feel not so great. So I have found that if I carry a water bottle with me, I carry a large one with me. You probably seen another video. Let me get it 1 second. These guys. So I know I've shown these in previous videos. I have 4 of them. So I have one in pink, purple, blue, and gray. I love them. They are the Pogo brand 40-ounce water bottles. I just bought mine at Target. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them at Walmart. They have different sizes, so they do have like a 32-ounce. I'm not sure of the others, but I know they have various different sizes. And this is 40 ounces of water that you can put into it. So this is a good reminder for me to make sure that I drink enough water. So yeah, you're gonna have to go to the restroom a lot, which is kind of a bummer, but drinking water keeps you hydrated, it keeps you more alert, and I find it to be really helpful. Now, if I am drinking a lot of coffee during this time, I will increase my water and take a little bit just to kind of level things off. So on an average day, any time of the year, I will drink 80 fluid ounces of water. That's just what works well for me, and the number might work well for you. But that's what works well for me. So I really make sure that I stay hydrated because it is so easy to just drink only coffee and you end up not feeling so great. So stay hydrated, super, super important. So my second tip for surviving and maintaining your healthy lifestyle during finals week is to still exercise. I know I've had some finals weeks that were more stressful than others where just the thought of going to the gym was not a good idea to me, but pushing myself to at least go for a walk, even just taking a few laps around the library every few hours or just getting out, moving your body, it helps you feel more alert, more awake, you feel better. And sitting for a long time is not good for you, so getting up, moving your body will make you feel so much more better. And honestly, like if you get off that workout train and too many weeks go by, it is so much harder to get back on that train. And trust me, from experience, I have done that. And not great. It took me a long time to get back on track, because if you make an excuse for one day, you think, okay, well, if I won't go today, I'll go tomorrow. But then you never go. And then it comes in, I'll go after Christmas. I'll go in New Year's. I'll try again next year. It doesn't work that well. If you're strict about it, it can help, but I also understand that sometimes you are really overwhelmed and going to the gym to make a workout is just too challenging. But if you can at least get in some like brisk walking, even just taking a 30-minute walk, it will help you. I know for me, just getting that walk in will alleviate a lot of stress. I can kind of collect my thoughts. I can think a little more clearer. So doing something like that is really helpful for me. So that is tip number 2. Get in your exercise, even if it is just walking. Get your body moving during finals week. Tip number 3 is very simple, but getting enough sleep. I know during that time, it is so easy to be so stressed out and to have so much caffeine surging through your veins and just having a high stress level that sleep is the last thing you think you can do, especially if you have things that are a little last minute, like maybe you waited too long. It all happens, we've all been there, and you just have so much work that's piled up, or you have a test that you're really nervous about. Maybe it's a subject that you don't feel very confident in and you're just extra stressed. So definitely put in the work to do what you need to do to pass and to do well. That's important, but also making sure you get enough sleep, because the more sleep deprived you get, the more harder, at least in my experience, to concentrate, to focus, to remember things. And it's harder to keep the task in mind and do what you need to do. So making sure you set enough time to get enough sleep, even if it means you take a nap during the day, if you are good with naps. Some people aren't. I personally am not one of them. If I take a nap, it's either all or nothing. I'll wake up feeling more tired, or I will end up sleeping for 8 hours. So keeping your sleep schedule as normal as possible. I know there probably will be more late nights during finals, early mornings. I have once had a final that was scheduled by the university way too early in the morning, and everybody looked like zombies. But if you can maintain getting enough sleep as much as possible, that's going to definitely help you stay healthy. When you don't sleep enough, it's harder for your body to just take care of itself, because that's when it does a lot of its repair work, is when you're asleep. So making sure you make that a priority is very essential in surviving during your finals. So tip number 4, this is something I wished that I would have been better at. So being honest with you guys, when I was an undergrad, this was like the farthest thing from my mind. I was just go, go, go. I need to pass. I need to do well. Forget everything. Let me just eat this pizza. And it wasn't a good plan, because I was eating foods that at the time I didn't realize I was allergic to, and I couldn't figure out why I felt horrible. And at the same time, I was just eating things that just didn't have a lot of nutritional value, and I just felt horrible. But I survived, but it was hard. So prepping your meals ahead of time is so important. And if you already are on a routine of doing this, it's really easy to just make sure that you put that time in. That hour it might take to make everything ready to go really isn't that much time when you think about, because honestly, I know when I was doing finals, I much rather would have spent an hour watching YouTube videos or sleeping, which is important, do sleep, but cutting out watching a video or whatever video game or whatever, activity like that, I've learned as I got older to allow myself to still do things that were fun, but to make sure that I made meal prep a priority. Because if you don't have things prepped and ready to go, you're going to start reaching for bad things, especially if your stress levels are really high. Because I know mine were during finals week, they were always pretty high, that I would start reaching for bad food and I would feel worse because I ate it. So one tip that I have that works well for me today is I always think about the food. So like today is an example. I was grocery shopping today, and I drove by Little Caesars. I can't eat there anymore because of my allergy to gluten, but it smelled so good. And then when you're hungry and things like that, you start smelling things like that and you want to go toward them. But here's my tip is, if you are tempted to reach for something that tastes good but may not be very healthy or have a lot of nutrition to it, I always think about, how do you feel after you ate that food? Do you feel like really bad? Do you feel more energized? Well, maybe it's a good thing for you. But if you feel less energized, exhausted, like you just want to sleep, you just feel bloated or gross or whatever, maybe it's not the best thing to reach for, especially at this time. I think there's a time and place for, more indulgent type of food, but, sometimes you just have to do what's best for you. But I really think that if you can meal prep ahead of time, it makes your life easier. And then bring the food with you. So what I started doing later on in my studies is I brought a bag with me. You've probably seen that giant red bag that I have. Well, I would prep everything. I would cut up my fruits, my vegetables. I would put my salads together, because at that time I was eating a lot of really large salads. And I would just have everything ready to go. And it wasn't just like, a snack. I brought everything with me, and then a little extra, because I tend to get more hungry when I'm stressed for some reason. So I would bring it so I would have enough, my water, and just so there wasn't an excuse to make choices that may not be the best for me. So if you can do that, it will cut down your stress, because you don't have to think about, what am I going to eat, and trying to find something. But also, that you have food that's going to help fuel you the best that it possibly can. So you are going to feel really good if you are, well nourished, and it really helps. So it may sound like it's a time consuming thing, but if you make that effort to do that, it helps so much. Tip number 5. So if you watch my other videos, you know that I usually have a smoothie every single day. And the reason why I do that personally is, one, I think they taste really good. It's very sweet. You get in a lot of fruit. You can hide a lot of greens in, especially like if you don't like greens, you can hide them in. And then you can put in a lot of different superfoods and different protein things in there. That way you have a really nutritionally packed smoothie. So one of my suggestions for you is just make one. Any blender is fine. Some are better than others. I personally have a Vitamix, but when I was doing my bachelor's and my master's, I didn't have one. I had your really cheap blender that I picked up at Target or Walmart years ago. So it hasn't been until recent years, probably within the last 4 years, that I've been able to save up and purchase a Vitamix, which I'm so thankful to have. But you can still make smoothies in lesser quality blenders. It just, the consistency may be a little different, and it'll just take a little bit more time, to get to where you need to be, but still good. So making a smoothie that's really healthy can just give you a boost of energy. You can help you stay full and focused. So if you watch my other videos, you notice that I put a lot of like hemp seeds, I put flax seeds, chia seeds, different things like that into my smoothies. I also put an omega supplement, so that way there's enough like healthy fats in my smoothie, and then putting in protein powder and different fruits and vegetables that are high in protein I will add in. So I always add a green layer of smoothie into it. I always add coconut water because it has the potassium, and then I add a lot of fruits and different fruits to it. So I mix it up. Having something like that, you are going to hit a lot of your daily nutritional values. And for me personally, depending on which one I make, I can hit anywhere from like 70 to 90 something % of my daily values just from the smoothie. Of course, it depends on how much you put in. I personally like to make really large smoothies because it fills me up for pretty much the majority of the day. So it's not the only thing I eat. Trust me, I eat a lot of food, but it makes it where I feel very energetic, I feel very balanced, and I feel very awake, if that makes sense. So it helps me maintain focus. So having something like that can really help you stay focused during your finals. So tip number 6. So this one isn't really a food or fitness type of one, but something that I have learned just from my experience of multiple finals, just because I have been in school working on multiple different degrees for so many years. So it is really easy to let the quarter or semester get away from you. And then all of a sudden you realize everything is due, especially things that you should have been working on weeks ago. And let's face it, we've all of us, probably almost everyone has procrastinated a little bit here and there. So there's some things that I have done, and what I do when the quarter or semester begins is I will break things down and when I need to do things. And I do my best to stick to that. So that way I try to work ahead of schedule, so when I get to the point of finals, I have most of my stuff done, or I am in a spot where I can focus on certain tasks. Now, there are some times you get really unlucky. Like for example, my very first quarter or first semester of my master's degree, part of our requirement for those particular courses is we had to lead a class discussion, also turn in a paper that week, and take tests because it was during the final week. So the way they had it do is they would do a sign up. So there's a paper the professor would send around, and then you would sign up for the week that you would do your presentation. So keep in mind, doing a presentation, writing a paper, and preparing for a final for each class, that's a lot. That's 3 major things. These classes I took were 3 hours in length, so you had to have material prep to lead the class for 3 hours. So a lot of stuff. So I don't know how I got so unlucky, but with the 4 classes that I was taking, I somehow got the paper last every single time, and I was sitting in different parts of the room, and so everyone chose weeks that were ahead of them. So I usually like to do it, the first week or soon after, just to get it out of the way. But I ended up having to do all of my presentations the week of finals. So excuse me. The way it worked in our program is we took our stuff, at least in this particular program, the week before finals, when most of the undergrads and whatnot were taking their actual final exams. We were taking and turning everything in the week before. So it meant that you got a little bit of a longer break, but everything was due a lot quicker. And all of my presentations, papers, and finals were all due that same week. That was one of the most stressful weeks of my life. And I could have made better choices in food and whatnot, as I mentioned earlier, so I've definitely learned from that experience. But breaking things up and knowing ahead of time when to do certain tasks makes things a lot easier. And it just kind of gives you a little bit of mental relief, at least it did for me, to know, okay, this part of the paper needs to be done by this week, this part of the presentation needs to be ready to go by this week. That way I could do things in steps and it wasn't too overwhelming and stressful. So if you can do that, it definitely helps make things a little bit more smoother during finals week. Stress is a big part of it, and if you can do things ahead of time to help alleviate that and keep your stress levels down, it can be very, very helpful. Alright, you guys, so hopefully you guys found those tips helpful. Let me know, have you guys tried them? Do you have any other tips that you would suggest? Let me know what you guys think. So hopefully you guys like this little kind of more of a sit down and chat with some tips video, but these are things that have worked personally well for me. And I figure if there's anyone out there right now that is struggling with their finals, hopefully it's not a little too late for you, but hopefully you can implement some of these ideas if you wish and see if they work well for you. So I hope you guys are doing great and that you are enjoying your December and that you had a good day. So go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and let me know if you'd like to see future videos like this. I can share a lot of my experience in school, since I have completed 2 degrees and I'm currently working on another. So I can definitely share tips and advice with you guys. So I've been through a lot with that, so hopefully I can help you guys on that, and how you just balance staying healthy and staying into your routine. So those are some other things that I can share with you guys. So again, give me a thumbs up if you like this video, And please subscribe for more and turn on that little bell notification so you don't miss any future videos from me. Alright, you guys, have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye!